What's up, my friends, and welcome into the PHLY Phillies Podcast. We broadcast live from the Xfinity Lounge here at the PHLY Studios, and as always, we're brought to you by our friends over at Bet365. At every moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365 and TrueMark Financial Credit Union. Head on over to any one of their 24 branches or online 24/7 at TrueMark.com/PHLY to get started today. A happy Friday to each and every one of you. We have made it to the end of another work week, and I got to be honest with you, it's November 14th. I'm tired of the cold. It just started, and I'm tired of it. This sucks. I hate it. I hate the winter. Anybody that sits there and goes, oh, I love the winter, go outside. Go have fun. Go have lunch in the parking lot or something, because this sucks. I'm not even going to pretend like... I was at Acme the other day, and I'm walking out of Acme, and I overheard some guy go, yeah, man, it's cold today, and it's just the beginning. Yes, it is, my friend. Yes, it is. I hate the winter. Not just because baseball doesn't exist in the winter, and not just because we have 98 days until spring training begins, which feels like it might as well be 980 days, but we just get into that like dreary, drab run of things. And I know the holidays are coming up, which boosts everybody's spirit, but then you get into January, sucks. February, sucks. Beginning of March, sucks. It's cold. It's dark at 4:15 in the afternoon. Sorry, I don't mean to start off our Friday on a bad note. I just needed to rant for just a minute because I'm already tired of the cold, and it's November 14th, and we still have like another 4 months of it to go before we get to even remotely warm weather. Hello to you. Happy Friday. Hope you're not an old man yelling at clouds just like I am. Anyway, welcome into the PHLY Phillies Podcast. We got a lot to get into today. Here's what's coming up on the PHLY Phillies Podcast. We're going to talk about the MVP voting and the Cy Young voting. Both Phillies representatives finished second in their respected awards. Cristopher Sánchez finished second in the Cy Young. We'll talk briefly about the MVP voting as well. We did it a lot on Monday, so we're not going to get too much into it. This went as expected, but we'll talk about Shohei Ohtani's historic season and what he means to the game of baseball. We're going to talk about the best free agents available, and what I mean by the best free agents available is what is the value, or what are the values of the Phillies free agents when it compares to the rest of baseball? I don't think we've taken that approach to this just yet. And there was a really good article on MLB.com that laid out different pinpoint values of the types of players that you were looking for. And Phillies free agents, two of them specifically, came up in a lot of the different conversations. Our buddy Pat Egan is going to join us at 12:30 to talk about that, to talk about the season, the offseason ahead, and I'll see if he has calmed down from the end of Game 4 of the NLDS at all. We'll do all of that here on the PHLY Phillies Podcast over the next hour. Hello to you all. Tyler Zulli here. Lindsay producing today's show. She's in for Ethan Hartley, who is traveling the globe. He's our world traveler this week, but he'll be back on Wednesday. But Lindsay's going to be with us today, maybe with us on Monday as well. But thank you to Lindsay for stepping in and producing today's show. Let's get started on today's show with the MVP voting. Unanimous decision, the right decision for Shohei Ohtani to not only just win the award, but to unanimously win the award as well. We talked a lot about this on Monday, and it's funny. I had somebody in the video the show, the podcast that we did on Monday after the fact, comment like, "Do you feel silly?" or something like that for writing this title. And the title was, do Kyle Schwarber or Cristopher Sánchez have a chance at winning the respective awards? Which I guess is kind of like the open-ended question of, how do you feel about their seasons? Really what we were trying to pinpoint. But if you watched the show on Monday, I pretty much laid out that Shohei Ohtani not only was going to win the MVP, but he was going to do it unanimously. And that's exactly what he did. And rightfully so. I mean, it was another historic season from Shohei Ohtani. Not to take away anything that Kyle Schwarber did. It was a great year for Kyle Schwarber. It was a career year for Kyle Schwarber. But it was one of those years that Shohei Ohtani puts together so often that just defies baseball. That like we use the word unicorn and all these things. And somebody said to me, yeah, he's a once in a generation player. And I went, no, he's not. And they went, what do you mean? You don't think he's like, no. Once in a generation is an undersell of Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani is a once in an ever player. That type of guy that transcends baseball forever. You know, Bill Matz on Philadelphia the other day talked about like the legacy and legend of Babe Ruth, almost feeling Paul Bunyan-esque, right? Big blue ox, big guy with the axe, right? Like larger than life characters, hyperbole, if you will, even though we know Babe Ruth existed and we see the numbers that he put together. Shohei Ohtani is on pace to be better than that. Shohei Ohtani probably doesn't get to 714 home runs just based on the fact that he spent time in Japan, and obviously he was older when he debuted. But when I think about the things that Shohei Ohtani does, from a talent perspective, he's the greatest player to ever walk the planet. It's that simple. We're talking about a guy who over the last 4 seasons has hit 50 or more home runs in 3 of those seasons. We're talking about a guy who in the last 4 seasons has won 3, or in the last 3 seasons has now won 3 consecutive MVPs and has done it in 2 different leagues. He's won 4 MVPs now in the last 6 seasons. Sorry, in the last 5 seasons, excuse me. The 2021 AL MVP, the 2023 AL MVP, the 2024 NL MVP, and the 2025 NL MVP. He is now tied for second most MVPs ever. Only Barry Bonds has more MVPs than Shohei Ohtani does. He won 4 consecutive at one point, and there's nothing pointing to the fact that says Shohei can't win it again next year. Obviously, we're jumping way ahead, but that's how good Shohei Ohtani has been. Over the last 3 seasons, Shohei Ohtani has led the National League in home runs twice and finished second to Kyle Schwarber this season. He's led the National League in RBI once. He's led the league in the National League in runs scored twice. He has led the National League in WAR once. He has led the National League in OBP, slugging, OPS, OPS plus, and total bases. Every one of those stats at least 2 of the last 3 years, and slugging, OPS, and OPS plus has led the National League in that category all 3 seasons. By the way, never once in that rambling rant did I mention his ability to throw. His ability to take the mound and throw 97 with wipeout type slider movement at times. The fact that he's able to give you 47 innings pitched in the regular season to a 2.87 ERA, to a 1.9 FIP, to a 1.043 WHIP, to an 11.9 strikeouts per 9, to a near 7 strikeout to walk ratio. What this guy is doing is not just unprecedented or unheard of. It's not supposed to be able to be done. That's how good this guy is. And so when we talk about Kyle Schwarber finishing in second in the MVP voting, it's nothing to scoff at. And I believe that's the exact wording that one of our commenters, I think it was Ray Schumacher, used at the beginning of the show. It's nothing to scoff at the season that Kyle Schwarber had. A 563 slug, led the National League in home runs, led all of baseball, in RBI with 132. A 150 OPS plus, which means that Kyle Schwarber is 50% better this year than the average player across baseball was. It was an unbelievable career-defining year for Kyle Schwarber, who continues to get better and better and better and better as the season goes on, as his career goes on. That's how good Shohei Ohtani is. 1 home run behind. The RBI total was less, again, primarily because of the fact that he led off for a majority of the year. But what this guy does on a nightly basis, what this guy does when he's able to take the mound and DH. Now, I'd love to know his numbers as a DH when he pitches. I would imagine they're probably some of his downturn stats, right? But like, this dude is on another planet. And so for him to win unanimously, yeah, we kind of all expected it. That's how good he was. Really quickly, before we get to the Cy Young, I want to mention the American League MVP as well. Aaron Judge wins the American League MVP. Cal Raleigh finishes in second. I would have voted for Aaron Judge. And I know that there is discourse about this one because of the fact that where do you value what MVP means? MVP to me for a long time has and should mean what it stands for. Most valuable player. And when we say most valuable player, it doesn't necessarily have to be the best player. I've seen guys who have had stellar seasons not win MVP awards because either their team wasn't very good or maybe they didn't lift them to as far as you would have expected, or whatever the case might be. Cal Raleigh certainly fits the bill of that V in MVP. The value that Cal Raleigh brings to the Seattle Mariners is immeasurable. 60 home runs as a switch-hitting catcher is an unbelievable feat. There's a reason he has the most home runs in a single season by a catcher all time. Defense is very, very good. It was a little sluggish in the playoffs. I thought that he was less than stellar defensively in terms of blocking in the postseason, but his defense throughout the course of the career of the season is very good. Throughout the course of his career has been very good. And he plays at a premier position. We've talked prior about JT. When we talk about catchers, we talk about how difficult it is to find two-way catchers. There's not that many in the game of baseball. Cal Raleigh's the best of the best right now. I mean, you just see it with the statistical numbers alone. It's unbelievable. With that being said, it does become hard to argue the season that Aaron Judge had in terms of sheer statistical numbers. And the fact that the Yankees were a wild card team. They made the postseason. They made it to the ALDS. Yes, they got beat by the Toronto Blue Jays. Yes, I understand that Cal Raleigh's team not only won their division, but went further than the Yankees did. But we're talking about a guy with a 215 OPS plus this year. More than double better the average hitter across baseball. A 688 slug. A 1.144 OPS. He himself led the American League in total bases. He led the American League in walks. And he also led the American League in average on-base slug OPS. I know that I am being slightly hypocritical when I say I value the V in MVP and then don't give credence to what Cal Raleigh did. That's not what I'm trying to do here. What I'm trying to say is the player that Aaron Judge was this year was perhaps the best hitter in baseball, was a 9.7 WAR player. The best WAR. You know I don't love WAR. We're going to use WAR a lot today for a guy that doesn't like WAR. I'm going to use that stat a lot. I think it can help tell a story. I just don't think it's as complete as people want to use it to be. But when you look at the bold of his baseball reference page, the bold means he led the league in that category. WAR, runs, walks, batting average, OBP, slug, OPS, OPS plus, total bags, intentional walks if that's something you care about. That is 11 statistical categories that Aaron Judge either led the American League or led baseball in this season. Cal Raleigh was phenomenal. I think that it was the premier offensive season from a catcher ever, and it should not be discredited. Aaron Judge was the MVP of baseball this year, or of the American League this year. I think the voters got this one right. I know that people are frustrated. I know people value what Cal Raleigh did, and you should, because it was a heck of a year. In fact, it was a top 3 year in all of baseball. I would say it was third behind the two guys that won the MVP in terms of offensive performances. To me, the year that Aaron Judge produced is just sheer dominance from start to finish. He is another guy who, for the third time in 4 years, has at least 53 home runs. For the third time in 4 years, drove in at least 114. For the third time in 4 years, walked at least 111 times. For the fourth consecutive year, had a plus 400 OBP, and this year was at 457. For the third time in 4 years, had a 686 slug or better. And for the fourth consecutive year, had a 1 plus OPS, and the third time in 4 years that he had a 1.1 OPS. That's the MVP of the league to me. I know it doesn't translate 1-to-1 to MVP, and I know it's not the way that I totally usually judge the MVP conversation. But to me, that the year that Aaron Judge had was unbelievable. So Shohei Ohtani, unanimous in the National League. Aaron Judge wins it in the American League. Kyle Schwarber finishes second. Trey Turner finished fifth for the Phillies in MVP voting. In between was Juan Soto, Geraldo Perdomo, and who finished fourth? Doesn't matter. There was a player in between the two, between the Turner and Schwarber. It was Soto and Perdomo finishing third and fourth. Turner finished fifth. All right, on the other side, we have a lot to get into still. We still have to talk about Cristopher Sanchez's Cy Young caliber season. I also want to get into Phillies free agency and why these guys are not just important to the Phillies, but they're important to Major League Baseball free agency as a whole. We'll also talk to Pat Egan at 12:30, get his thoughts on the offseason. We'll play trivia with him as well, our Friday afternoon trivia as well. It's the PHLY Phillies Podcast. We broadcast live from the Xfinity Lounge, and we will be right back after this. All right, listen, if it's time to pop the question to your special someone, you don't want to feel overwhelmed when you go to buy that ring, because it's a difficult enough thing, right? You have to think about the 5 C's. You're thinking about cushion, cut, clarity, the size. Are you going to go lab grown? Are you going to go, natural, whatever it might be? What do you want a halo? There's a lot of different asks when you're thinking about buying the ring. It's a hard decision to make. If you want to simplify that process, head on over to Bucci Jewelry and Design. With Joe and Michelle, they make you feel like you're not just a customer. They're going to make you feel like you're family as well. They make the whole process seamless. From the minute that you walk in, they treat you like one of one. They listen to you. They help you figure out what your partner is going to love. And then their team designs something completely custom right there in the house. There's no pressure. There's no pushy sales vibes. It's just good people who love what they do and want to make sure that your partner loves the ring that you buy. So next time you need that perfect piece, head on over to Joe and Michelle at Bucci's Jewelry and Design. 30 plus years in the game, voted Philly's #1 jeweler year after year. They have over 1,000 five-star reviews. You can check them out today at BucciJewelers.com and tell them that we here at PHLY sent you. All right, and while we're at it, let me tell you about our friends over at Xfinity, because just because there's no baseball being played doesn't mean that there aren't great sporting events going on. You know, you have pro and college football coming up, pro basketball, college basketball, pro hockey. It's a wild slate of sports this weekend. And if you call yourself a sports fan, you have to get Xfinity, because it's the ultimate sports destination. You find all of the best games and your favorite teams all in one place. There's no lagging, no buffering, no switching between apps trying to find that game. It's just all of the action right there in your living room. Plus, with Xfinity's best picture and sound enhanced with 4K, you're going to feel like you're at the stadium anyway without having to battle traffic, the elements, the prices. You can do it all right from your couch. And sometimes you've got 4 games going on at once, because why not? On top of that, you get real-time notifications and live stats right there on your TV. So next game day, make sure the big fan in your life isn't a big fail. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the PHLY Phillies Podcast. Tyler Zula here. Thanks so much for being a part of today's show. I want to say hello to everybody in our chat, which includes Broad Street Bullies, Ray Schumacher, Stephen Paul, Futz, Provolone John, Molly and Barkley's Life, RF, K-Red. Who else we got? Everybody that's here, thank you so much. If I didn't mention you by name, I apologize. I appreciate you. I love you. Thanks so much for being a part of today's show. Pat Egan is going to come our way in about 15 minutes. Lindsay, if you could do me a favor and just drop that link in for me so I can send it to Pat. Rich, what's up, Rich? How are you? Appreciate you. I know there's a lot of discourse going on right now about the AL MVP conversation, because I think we're all in agreement that Shohei was the runaway NL MVP. But Provolone John says if Judge was on the Royals, he's not winning the MVP. Let's see. Who else do we got? I know there were some other ones about this conversation. Like the NFL, MVP is going to be best batter in this case for MLB. I do think all awards are trending that way, Provolone John, which they shouldn't. And maybe, again, that's a little bit hypocritical to the conversation I just had. But I do think, like, if Aaron Judge played for the Royals, as you made mention, I think the Royals would make the postseason. Like, the Royals missed the playoffs this year. They were a playoff team last year. They overperformed last year. They regressed a little bit this year. They had some injuries. Their pitching wasn't as good. But if Aaron Judge played for the Royals, they're making the postseason. I think if Aaron Judge is off of the Yankees, do they make the postseason still? Probably. But they're going to have to fight and claw and scratch their way to the postseason because that's your best player. And to me, I've said this before, I think Shohei Ohtani is the best player ever in terms of talent. I think if you ask me strictly who is the best hitter in baseball, to me, the answer is Aaron Judge over the last few seasons. So I get your point, right? If he's on a lesser team, like if he's on a lesser team, then maybe it's closer or whatever it might be. I get that point. I think how good he was this year almost transcends a little bit the season that he had. All right, we're going to talk to Pat Egan in about 10 minutes. Just going to send him, while I try to do this on the fly. Going to send him the link really quickly. And while we do that, let's get into our big takeaway segment of the day, which is brought to you by our friends over at Xfinity. Xfinity, imagine that. Again, Xfinity.com for all of your details and restrictions. Big takeaway of the day, as I made mention, is that the Phillies free agents that are available, this is like the no-duh statement of the day, but the Phillies free agents that are available, they're pretty darn good. And two of them in particular. But the big takeaway to me is just how valuable Kyle Schwarber may be over the course of free agency and how that means he's going to be evaluated this season or this free agency. I was reading an article today. I thought it was a really good piece on MLB.com written by Mike Petrielli, who talked about the values and best players and, like, depending on what you're looking for, how much value each, like, individual attribute of the players brings. And it turns out that Kyle Schwarber might be the most sought-after free agent hitter in baseball if it were up to this article. So here are the categories that Kyle Schwarber was a part of. And I urge you to go read this article. I thought it was a really good one. Category number 1, best hitter overall. Kyle Schwarber leads the list based on WXOBA. It's a ridiculous sounding, clunky sounding stat for non-stat heads, but basically what it says is how well did you hit the baseball on average, and it stops there. So it eliminates the factors that hitters can't control, like did a defender make a really nice play? Was a ball hit scorched right at somebody on a line or, in the air, and it was just hit really hard, unfortunately right at somebody? Or did the third baseman make a leaping grab? If you take all of that out of the equation, Kyle Schwarber leads the league this season amongst the free agents that are available with a 4.03 WXOBA. In fact, he leads that category by 18 points over Pete Alonso. And so really kind of to give you a little bit nerdy of example of what this means, it's like real world data. This is directly from MLB.com. Real world data for factors such as, it eliminates factors such as walks, strikeouts, and times hit by a pitch, which allows the formation of this stat just to be decided upon on quality of contact, which makes sense considering the fact that Kyle Schwarber, when he hits the ball, tends to hit the ball really, really hard. We'll talk more about that in just a second. Do I believe Kyle Schwarber is the best hitter available? Maybe, maybe not. Like, I would still argue that Kyle Tucker could have a case for that conversation. But in this individual cherry-picked instance, this stat gives Kyle Schwarber the nod over Tucker and over Alonso. Now, you could talk about guys that have really great bat-to-ball skills like Bo Bichette, who don't hit for a ton of pop, but lead the league, lead the American League in hits, for example. That means something too. But in this particular individual, again, cherry-picked, admittedly, instance, Kyle Schwarber, to this point, is the best hitter in that productive range. He also, when it comes to, are you looking for somebody who smashes baseballs? That's it. PHLY's words, not mine. Kyle Schwarber leads this one based on hard hit percentage. Not surprising here. He hits the ball extremely hard routinely. Since 2022, Kyle Schwarber has only been under a 54% hard hit percentage once, and he was still at 48%, which was good that year for the 88th percentile in all of baseball. His bad hard hit percentage years as a Philly are still in the upper echelons of all of baseball. This year, his hard hit percentage was 59%. Not only the best amongst free agents, but the best in all of baseball, period. 100th percentile in hard hit percentage. Average exit velocity also plays a factor into this conversation as well, which we know Kyle Schwarber excels at. Like I've always talked about, like I don't believe in bringing a glove to the game as an adult, but if I'm in Kyle Schwarber's sightline, I might reconsider it. He's in the 94th percentile or greater every season as a member of the Phillies in terms of average exit velocity. Last year, the 99th percentile. 3 guys hit the ball harder on average than Schwarber did last year. Want to take a guess as to who they are? It's not hard for 2 of them. They're the MVPs of baseball, Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani. The other one is O'Neal Cruz, who we know when he makes contact can hit the ball a really, really long way. The other thing to take a look at, barrel rates. Hey, look, Kyle Schwarber's there again. So barrels in a larger sense, because you could just say, wow, okay, well, squaring the ball up and hitting a barrel feels to be the same thing. But barrel rates are kind of a crossroads to where launch angle and average exit velocity meets. So for Kyle Schwarber, he hits the ball hard, that's the average exit velocity, plus he puts the ball in the air at a proper trajectory, which is the launch angle part of it, meaning that he hits the ball hard and either doesn't top it or get underneath it all that often. So barrels kind of take ground balls into a negative light. So like you could hit the ball extremely hard, but if you hit the ball on the ground, it has a little bit of a negative outlook to it. So when it comes to hitting the ball hard in the air, a la driving the baseball, a la hitting the ball out of the ballpark, or in the gaps, no surprise, Kyle Schwarber leads this list. Again, in fact, only the 2 MVPs, Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge, had better barrel rates this year than Kyle Schwarber. All of these things kind of play into the conversation. Provolone John points it out. We talked about it on Monday. I think it's a foolish endeavor to not want Kyle Schwarber back. I think it's a small portion of this fan base. I think most fans want Schwarber back. I think Dave Dombrowski wants Schwarber back. I want Schwarber back. I think Rob Thompson wants Schwarber back. Kevin Long's job probably hangs in the balance for his future after this year between Kyle Schwarber being here. I think everybody with a brain wants Kyle Schwarber back. I know the argument is like, well, you can replicate in the aggregate. All right, well, this isn't Moneyball and this isn't MLB The Show. I'm not replicating anything in the aggregate if I'm not getting 56 home runs and 132 RBI next season. I'm not playing Billy Beane style baseball here. I'm playing Phillies spend money, go keep your premier free agent. Again, I know that if it gets into a 5th year or we're talking about an exuberant amount of money, you shake his hand, say thanks for everything, and wish him well. Like, again, I mentioned the Red Sox. Like, if the Red Sox throw $175 million at him, nothing you can do, right? Like, you're not going to spend that money in that particular instance. But if you're in the ballpark of 120, even up to maybe 140, I think you're probably going to do that. And you should, because he's one of the premier hitters in baseball. I know people don't, like, they look at average and they go, he's a 240 hitter. Last season, over the course of his tenure with the Phillies, he hit 220-something. But he has 187 home runs in the years. Only Aaron Judge has hit more. We talked about all of the metrics on Monday about how good Kyle Schwarber is. And they all point to Kyle Schwarber being one of the elite hitters in baseball over the last 3 seasons. And the last 2 seasons specifically. Not bringing Kyle Schwarber back means there has to be another plan. And that means it's multiple free agents who can produce, not just be here and not just say I brought 3 guys in for the $35 million. I'm not in any rush to move on from Kyle Schwarber, again, unless the money is just like off the charts from another team. Broad Street Bullies points out, he's gotten better. We talked about this on Monday. He's gotten better as his career has gone on. His rates have gone up. All his metrics have gone up. He hits lefties better. He hits with 2 strikes better. Everything tells you that Kyle Schwarber should be fine, at least for another 2 or 3 seasons. If he has a bad 37 age season and the 4th year of the contract, you live with it. Because at that point, you're getting to the tail ends of a lot of contracts. You're out of the Wheeler contract. He said he's going to retire. You're getting to the end of Aaron Nola's contract. You're getting closer to the end of Harper's contract and Turner's contract. Like, those numbers start to become albatross at some point just because guys get old, right? But with Kyle Schwarber, everything that we've seen over the last couple of years has indicated he's gotten better as his career has gone on. I'm not expecting him to hit 55 home runs at 38 years old, but I do still think he can be a 40-plus home run hitter for the next couple of years. And if he drives in 100-plus and hits 40 or more, that to me is that's your power from the left side. Do you still need a right-handed power bat? Yes, you do. I would love to get a right-handed power bat in here, but I think it would be a foolish endeavor to not re-sign Schwarber. That's our big takeaway segment of the day. It's brought to you by our friends over at Xfinity. Xfinity, imagine that. Again, head on over to Xfinity.com to learn more. On the other side, we're going to get to our buddy Pat Egan and chat with him about the offseason, his thoughts on the Dodgers repeating as champions. Are they good for baseball? Are they bad for baseball? The conversation that will never end. And then, of course, we're going to get back to some of these free agents because it wasn't just Kyle Schwarber that made the list quite a few times. We'll talk about somebody else, Ranger Suarez, on the other side as well. It's the PHLY Phillies Podcast. We're broadcasting live from the Xfinity Lounge, and we will be right back after this. All right, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365, and find out why new users right now sign up. They get an incredible offer. We'll tell you about that in just a second. But 90 million users worldwide have teamed up with Bet365 to check out 780,000 live-streamed events over 78 different sporting platforms. And of course, they are the pioneers of live in-game betting. Lines change all the time. Speaking of those lines, for example, right now, you could get in on your hometown football squad at -2.5. Does that line change as we get closer? Does that line change throughout Sunday night? We'll have to wait and see, but you can do it all on Bet365. And of course, new users right now, sign up with the promo code at the bottom of your screen, PHLY365. Deposit $10, place a bet for $5, and you get $300 back in bonus bets, whether your bets win or lose. You can use that bonus money on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and so much more. And again, you find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 and physically located in PA. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, and while we're here, let me tell you about our friends over at Elkin Chevrolet. Because if you're thinking about great deals, slam dunk, home run type of deals, you know who's playing that championship level Black Friday deals every single day. That's our friends over at Elkin Chevrolet. They're right there off Route 70 south in Marlton. It's a 3-man team. It's brothers, Jason, Adam, Josh. They're in the store every single day. They're calling the plays, and they are delivering championship-level wins. No strikeouts, no drop third strikes, no drama, just a hometown squad with incredible bench of Chevys and Black Friday deals that'll make you cheer. They call it honkin' good service. And listen, trust me, it is a home run every time. So if you're scouting for a new Chevy or a pre-owned MVP, make your next move to Elkin Chevrolet. They're real brothers with real deals and a whole lot of honkin' good service. Shop now at elkinchevrolet.com. Together, let's drive. Excuse me 1 second, please. Thank you. Sorry about that. Welcome back to the PHLY Phillies Podcast. Tyler Zulli here. Lindsay producing today's show. We're going to chat with our buddy Pat Egan in just a moment. And while we wait for Pat, it seems like the discourse around Kyle Schwarber is that he is just going to continue to get better as his career progresses. Broad Street Bully says he'll have the full green light when the ABS system comes into play. 100% agree. Give Schwarber some of that Bobby Bonilla deal. Listen, I don't think the Phillies might dip their toes into the deferment water a little bit this offseason. I could see that happening, but I don't know how much they're going to do it. Like, I don't think they're going to Dodgers level do it, but I do think there will be some action in the deferment game this year to try to keep up with some of those, those free agent contract signings that may be in the upper echelon, whether it be per AAV or per total based on the years. We'll talk about more about that as the offseason unfolds. really hasn't been a whole lot of movement in terms of off-season signings. Now, there is a report that says the bullpen movement may happen in the next few days. Edwin Diaz, Robert Suarez, Ryan Helsley, Pete Fairbanks, just to name a few. The reports are saying that like once the bullpen first domino falls, you may see a lot of them happen in the next couple of weeks, which I think tends to happen, right? It's like when you do a fantasy football draft and there's a quarterback drafted. It's like, well, here starts the quarterback run. You know, I think once that first reliever gets signed, teams don't want to get shut out of reliever conversations, especially if you're in the market for an elite one. They just don't want to get shut out of that conversation. All right, let's get to our buddy. You've read his stuff on allphly.com. You have seen him on the Phillies postgame shows in the postseason, and you've heard his voice across the radio airwaves over the last decade. It's our buddy joining us on the Xfinity mobile call-in line. It's our friend Pat Egan. What's up, Pat? Oh, I see him. I don't know if he hears us. We're just going to get into a staring contest with him.
No, I can now I can hear
Oh,
you.
now
I couldn't hear you before. Yeah.
I gave you this really nice intro. I said how we were best friends and we hang out all the time. And
all true.
You would disagree. But anyway, on the Xfinity mobile call-in line, our buddy Pat Egan. What's up, Pat?
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being a part of today's show. Pat, I know the last time that you and I spoke was after Game 4 of the NLDS, on the airwaves, that is. And we were both pretty adamantly upset. We calmed down a little bit as the postseason has, as the post-game show unwinded. Dodgers win another World Series. I'm not going to ask you, does it make you feel better? Because I know your answer to that question. But have you taken the step back and looked at the postseason from a larger lens now that we're a little bit removed from it? And how do you feel about how the Phillies season transpired as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've always had a different aspect of viewing the postseason than others. I think a lot of people, if you don't win a championship, it is thought of as, all right, that's it. Like, you got to blow it up. And I've always had the mindset, no matter what sport, of like, hey, winning a championship is really, really difficult.
Sure.
And sometimes you run into the hot team. Sometimes you run into the best team. I think that's what happened with the Phillies. I thought that in the moment. So nothing's really changed with it. I didn't necessarily think it was like a let's blow it up situation because clearly it's not working. Like, I thought the one change that they probably should have made was Rob Thompson. And I still kind of believe that because as we talked about in the pre and the post game shows, it wasn't like he did a great job. And you kind of needed to do a great job. But they ran into the best team in baseball, unfortunately. The year before, they ran into the hot team in the New York Mets. And no, it doesn't really make me feel better that they won the championship. But, you know, that sometimes that happens. And I think that what changed my opinion on it, I might have mentioned this in one of the post-game shows, is the 2011 Phillies was the best team I've ever watched.
Sure. And
they couldn't get out of the DS. They would have absolutely murked the 2018. It wouldn't have even been close. And sometimes that happens, man. Like sometimes, you know, the Red Sox end up losing to the Devil Rays and you end up kind of falling into a favorable matchup. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, dead inside. But I realize that sometimes that's going to happen. So
over the last couple of nights, Kyle Schwarber, Cristopher Sánchez both finished second in their respective awards. Kind of to me felt like hey, great season, guys, fell to somebody with a better season. It unfortunately happens from time to time. I think the case, if we're arguing one or the other, the case to be made was Cristopher Sanchez's. Leads all of baseball in pitching WAR, was second in all of baseball only to Aaron Judge. When you think about Cristopher Sánchez and his ascension, his maturation over the years, like, I can't speak highly enough about it, but what stands out to you when you watch Cristopher Sánchez now compared to like 2 or 3 seasons ago?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it really shines a light on Caleb Cotham. Like, give Caleb Cotham a lifetime contract. I don't think he gets enough credit for it. Because for me, it's not just Cristopher Sánchez. It's guys like Ranger Suarez coming through the system and becoming like a full pitcher. And for Cristopher Sánchez, he's unflappable. You know, he's at the point where I don't worry about him at all. His changeup has developed into this, like, you know, and Pedro was commenting on it on a podcast I listened to. And he, you know, when they asked him, like, who reminds you of you a little bit, he's like, that changeup, man. Like apparently Pedro had like 15 different changeups or something crazy. But Cristopher Sanchez's changeup is so elite that guys know it's coming and they still can't hit it. And if you add him to a rotation of Zach Wheeler and you truly have a 1-2, it makes the Aaron Nola contract a little more stomachable. You're able to stomach it a little bit better because you thought you were getting a 2A in Aaron Nola when you signed that contract. You haven't, not even close. But if Cristopher Sanchez can fill that void, it goes a long way. And he certainly did last year. I mean, we sat there during the games and we were like, yeah, I'm not really worried about him. And he went out there and proved us right.
And not only that, but like was under the finest of microscopes because the offense wasn't producing. And so every pitch was intensified. And it's funny, I remember listening to Tarek Skubal, who just won his second consecutive Cy Young, pretty good in his own right, basically go, yeah, that guy's changeup's better than mine. So when the back-to-back Cy Young winner says, this pitch is better than my pitch, I think you're talking about maybe the elite changeup in all of baseball.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen. I grew up with Cole Hamels, who was, he developed his changeup off of Trevor Hoffman because Cole grew up in San Diego, and that was it. That was the money pitch. And Sanchez makes it look like it's you throwing a changeup. With all due disrespect,
my changeup had no movement at all. It was just it was slower, and slowest.
Look, there's a reason we're sitting here talking about it.
This is true.
Not playing it. What cracks me up about the Cristopher Sanchez thing is I don't know how many people remember, but when the deal went down, it's a little known deal in like the late, December, and he gets traded for Curtis Mead. And at the time, it was thought of as like, man, the Devil Rays really won this one. Like they won this trade because Cristopher Sanchez has just gotten bumped off the 40-man for the Rays. And the Phillies took a flyer on him and just watched him develop. But that's like that always stuck with me for whatever reason. Is like they traded Curtis Mead, and the baseball world said, "Oh, this is a clear win for Tampa." And then years later, to see what's actually transpired with both organizations, one has an ace, the other has Curtis Mead.
All right, let's switch to the offseason now. 3 big free agents: Schwarber, Ranger, JT. Rank them in your thought in the likelihood that they are back.
I think I said this before. I think me and you have a better chance of being on the Phillies than Kyle Schwarber not being on the Phillies next year. I think when push comes to shove, no matter what the number is, the Phillies will want a chance to match. Kyle Schwarber will give them that. And at the end of the day, John Middleton's going to throw his checkbook down and say whatever it takes, because his impact, not only on the field, but in the locker room, is unmatched. And in a sport like baseball, where you're with these guys 162 days a year, you need a good locker room guy. Sure. And when that locker room guy is hitting 50 plus bombs every year, all right, let's call it 45, on average.
Yeah.
When he's including that kind of production, you don't let that guy walk, especially because, he's playing DH. So there's no like wear and tear on his body. It's like, all right, get up there for your 4 bats a game. I'm very confident in him. Like my 1A to that would be JT Realmuto. Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest example of why I'm so confident is when you look at Rafael Marchand's at bats last year. I think he had under 100 maybe, or like 150. It wasn't many, is my point. He only got into like 40 something games. And if you're looking to develop a younger catcher to take over the veteran catcher, you're going to play them more. And they didn't. They didn't even make an attempt to hide their feelings on it. Later on in the season, I forget what broadcast it was. It might have been an Apple broadcast, but they were talking about how the pitching, all the pitchers love throwing to JT Realmuto. They have the utmost faith in him. So I think similar to Kyle Schwarber, John Middleton realizes how important JT Realmuto is to not only, the plate and the production he gives you with the bat, but all the other little things, handling a staff. He does it really well. And I think when push comes to shove, he'll throw his checkbook down. With that said, I think that JT is more likely to take a hometown discount than Kyle.
Agree.
I love Ranger Suarez. Like I'm so Rangered up. I'm like the biggest Ranger fan in the world, but it's looking more and more likely that like he's just the odd man out. And I hate that because for whatever reason, they don't realize what they have in them. But yeah, it looks like it's going to be he's going to be the one to go.
I think that to me, that 1-1A JT Schwarber thing is fair. The reason I may put JT just slightly ahead is just positional value and how like it's a dearth of talent at the catching position in terms of two-way guys. Like there's 5 or 6 of them in baseball, and even at a diminished value, like JT's not the 2019, 2021 JT anymore. But even at a diminished value, he's probably still in that category compared to guys who are like, wow, he's a really good defender, but he hits 190, a la Patrick Bailey. Or this guy can hit, but he can't catch, a la Ivan Herrera. Like it's very uncommon across all of baseball to have guys who do both at a pretty solid level.
Yeah, I definitely don't disagree with you on that. I think if it wasn't for the fact that you have to give up draft picks at this point, like, you know, I know Phillies fans will be like, oh, go sign Kyle Tucker. Like,
right.
if you can't get Kyle Schwarber, sign Kyle Tucker. And it's like, okay, well, yeah, you can do that. And it's going to be expensive, and Kyle Schwarber is going to be expensive, but you're also giving up draft picks. And if it's equal, and you've got this one guy that you know very well, he's been in your organization, you know what he means to your clubhouse, and then the other guy is Kyle Tucker, and Kyle Tucker's going to cost you draft picks, you're more likely to go with just the known. But I don't disagree with you. I don't even look at JT Realmuto as this like impact bat anymore, sadly.
Sure.
You know, like when he hits the occasional one, I'm like, all right, cool. But he's no longer like all right, we got JT coming up. And that's just the wear and tear on the body, the age. But you're right. When you combine both of what he gives you, there's not many guys in baseball that are like that. And they don't have anybody coming up through the system. They traded their best catching prospect to get Joan Duran. Mm-hmm. So I think you're probably looking at like a 3-year deal with JT, but I'd be surprised if he doesn't come back. I know he wanted to come back the last time, you know, when they had the contract dispute in 2020, he was upset, like very upset that the contract negotiations were going the way they were. He couldn't understand it because he wanted to be here. And I think a big part of it is like, all right, well, the Phillies want you here, but they're not willing to give you $25 million. Do you, at this age, with kids and a family, do you want to uproot and move somewhere else that might not be a contender? Because at the end of the day, I know Phillies fans are frustrated, but this team still is a very, very formidable opponent for anybody. And I think that's going to weigh heavily on the decision too, with both guys. Like the Cincinnati Reds keep getting brought up with Kyle Schwarber. Okay, yeah. Do you want to spend your twilight years with the Reds? I sure want it.
Yeah, I think the team with Schwarber, the one that would maybe be the one that comes in and swoops in and spends a bunch of money. I think Boston makes a lot of sense in terms of spending big time money on him. Short porch and right. He's played there before. You know, they have 1 million DHs or 1 million players who probably could be a DH. You have to figure out something with Yoshida, but like Schwarber greater than Yoshida, and I'd figure it out. You know what I mean? Boston, I've Chicago too. I think everybody has the ties to. Well, he's played there before, so maybe he wants to go back. But I do think Boston could be a player in the Kyle Schwarber sweepstakes.
Yeah, and I think the big reason why is not only the production, but what you talked about. Like, you don't realize the impact that Kyle Schwarber has until he's in your organization, and he's just that guy. You know, I mean, and I think, you know, we've talked about this. Like, we've all had coworkers that you just look forward to seeing. Like, I was that with you, and
that's Devon Givens for everybody.
No, in all seriousness, yeah. Like it was Devon Givens and Bob Cooney were the two guys who were just like. You make going to work
universally loved is how I would describe them.
And when you have those guys, you want to keep those guys around. And yeah, if I was Chicago, if I was Boston, I'd be looking to bring him back. Absolutely. But still, they're going to have to give up draft picks, so they want to do that. Boston's going with this new way of doing things. So I still think he comes back, but yeah, I mean, they're definitely going to have competition. Surprisingly, 50 home runs. It's going to.
People want that productivity. Crazy how that works.
Yeah, it's weird.
Pat, so every Friday we do a trivia question to kind of wrap up the show. Would you like to be a part of our trivia segment today?
No.
Okay, see you later then.
No, go ahead.
Right, here you go. So here is our trivia question for our Friday afternoon edition of the PHLY Phillies podcast. The question is, since 2001, the Phillies have had 30 double-digit winners in terms of pitchers. So each pitcher counts one time. How many of those guys can you name?
Oh, jeez. All right.
A lot of them are very straightforward.
Yeah. You've got Hamels, Lee, Holiday, Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, Cristopher Sanchez, Ranger Suarez. Was he one of them?
Yes.
Okay. Then we'll go with
missing one more from this year.
One more from this year. Jesus Luzardo.
Yep, Luzardo.
I always struggle with that name. Okay, and then we'll go with Jeremy Hellickson.
Yes.
Please. Don't test me. Vicente Padilla.
Yep.
Randy Wolf.
Mm-hmm.
John Lieber.
John Lieber in 2005. Yep.
Yeah, opening day starter. Don't test me. Let's go with now it's getting tricky. Because Omar Dahl was bad. I'm missing like a clear.
Omar Dahl is on the list.
Is he really?
2001, won double-digit games. Yep.
Another opening day starter for the Phils. All right, let's go with. I'm forgetting like a really like mediocre guy. That was.
There's some really mediocre guys on this list, and then there's like, yeah, that makes sense type of dudes.
Yeah, like. You said 2001, so Schilling was traded in 2000.
There is one more player in 2001.
All right.
Known for one big offensive game.
Robert Person.
Robert Person's the other one.
Big Superman fan. Okay. And then let's move on.
You have one more from 2003.
Eric Milton.
Eric Milton, 2004. Yep.
All right. 2003 rotation.
You got Padilla and Wolf. Missing one more.
Yeah. Wouldn't have been Duckworth? Did Duckworth win 10 games?
What my thought was he might have been in it, but it's not Duckworth.
All right. So they traded Carlos Silva for Eric Milton. And he was a reliever when they traded him. Sorry, I'm just like working this out.
No, you're good. You've got one more in 03, one in 05. Then you have a whole bunch in the good years that you haven't gotten to yet.
Joe Blanton.
Blanton
would have accidentally won 10 games.
Yep.
Man, the early ones are bothering me. And when you're under pressure, it's really
I know. It gets difficult.
Yeah.
2003, I'll give you a hint.
Millwood.
Millwood, yep.
Okay.
That's 03.
And then you said 2005. Well, I mean, everybody knows Freddie Garcia won one game.
Pitched for the Twins in his career.
For the Twins. Man, this is. Who did they have from the Twins? Tyler? You know the answer. I don't know why I'm asking you.
I apologize. Did not pitch for the Twins. My fault. Pitched for the Reds before the Phillies. My fault.
Oh, Kyle Loesch.
No, it's not Loesch, actually.
I will stop talking.
Before that.
Oh, Jamie Moyer is one of them.
Moyer is on the list.
Kyle Kendrick.
Yep.
All right, he pitched for the Reds, came over to the Phillies.
Pitched for the Reds, pitched for Tampa, Oakland, Toronto, finished with the Yankees.
J-Happ is one of them.
J-Happ is on the list, yep.
I know this isn't the guy that you're talking about, but you named all those teams. He pitched for the Reds and came over. I know this isn't one. I don't think this is one of. Did Aaron Harang win 10 games for the Phillies?
He did not. I'm surprised that he didn't, but those teams were so bad that.
Again, not a 2005 guy. Paid for the Reds. This is. I feel like this is the guy that I was talking about. Where I'm like, there's like one like very mediocre pitcher that I can't remember. Was he? I don't mean a body shame. Was he a thick guy? He was
5'11", 175 pounds. So no.
Jeez, he was in shape. Good for him. Okay, came over from the Reds to the Phillies. Was he signed or traded for?
He was. Let's see. He was traded.
Oh, Corey Lytle.
Corey Lytle, correct.
It was Hector Matey was, I think, the guy that they traded
for. So you're good through 05. You have 3 guys from 06 to 08 that you have not named.
All right. In the meantime, look up who they traded for Corey Lytle because I think it was Hector Matey. All right, 06.
That's why I like talking to you, Pat. You got these ridiculous pulls.
Thanks. Yeah. It works well. It works well with the ladies. I'll tell you that. I show up with my Corey Lytle information. All right. 06. So they traded for
It was
Jamie
Elizardo
Moyer.
Ramirez was the player to be named later.
Oh, geez. Yeah, he was a reliever. He had like 2 years with the Reds. He wasn't very good for them.
06, this guy was a starter, but was much better as a reliever.
Oh, Brett Myers.
Well, that is one, but not who I was. But yeah, but Myers is on the list.
Okay. He was a starter, much better as a reliever.
Hugely important to the 08 World Series run.
All right. This is embarrassing because I watched the 08 World Series run, and now here we are.
May or may not have been on PEDs on unconfirmed report, but all of a sudden was throwing 98 late in his career. Nasty changeup of his own right.
Ryan Madsen.
It is Ryan Madsen. Yep.
Ryan Madsen won 10 games. He only started like a handful of games.
Yeah, he won 10 in 06. Yeah.
Jeez, man. I remember his debut against the Twins.
07 is like the most hated name of that season.
Oh, Adam Eaton.
Yep.
The fact that Adam Eaton won 10 games is a miracle because his ERA was over 6.
So you have a handful of guys left. We go to 2011. Young kid, had one shining season and then really didn't do much after that.
Oh, Vance Worley, the Vanimal. Long Beach Poly, I think, was where he went to college.
2016, you got Hellickson. You're missing another guy. Came over in a trade. Was one of the many young arms we thought might be good. Wasn't.
Vince Velasquez?
Not Velasquez. Right era, though.
Okay. We thought he was going to be... Nick Pivetta?
Nope, the other guy.
Zach Eflin?
Well, he's on the list, but not him. But he is there, yes, 2019.
Who did they trade to get him?
Oh gosh. They traded
because Hellickson was Sam McWilliams.
He was part of the Hamels deal.
Oh, okay. So that was
they got Alfaro, Asher, Harrison, Thompson, Williams, and this guy.
Yeah. And he went to the Orioles, I think. Or maybe that was Alec Asher. Who?
That was Asher.
Yeah, who God, who did they
Jared Eichhoff.
Oh my God. I should never be allowed in your program.
Then a couple more because we're running out of time. 2018, Jake Arrieta.
Oh yeah, I have his jersey.
2022, Kyle Gibson.
Okay, yeah,
and then
sense.
2023. Remember all those years ago when Taijuan Walker won 15 games?
Oh my God, yeah, he did.
His first year, he won 15 games with the team. Because that was everybody's argument was like, well, he won the most games on the team. It's like, yeah, but he got 4.2 ERA.
Yeah, that's right up there with Kyle Schwarber should hit leadoff because look at their record when he hits leadoff. Well, they're a good baseball team. What are you talking about?
Pat, appreciate you. Thank you for being a part of those festivities. I knew you would come through with most of the answers, and you did.
I am embarrassed that I didn't get a lot of those.
Pat, have a wonderful weekend. You can check out Pat's work on allphly.com. You can follow him at Pat_Egan on Twitter. And, of course, the recaps on YouTube as well if you like movies and the such. So, Pat, I appreciate you. Thanks for being a part of today's show.
All right, Tyler. Goodbye.
You're the best, my friend. Pat Egan, there he is on the Xfinity mobile call-in line. We have to break. I'm sorry, Lindsay. I'm way over break here, but I do want to get our ad reads in before we hit the end of the show. So let's pause for just a moment. We'll be right back to wrap up the show on the other side. All right, whether your team wins or not, there's always another way to win with the BetParx online casino app. Check out new games like Huff and More Puff and Fireblaze Sky Queen. It's just a small reason as to why it's the only app I ever use to play all my favorite casino games. You can play blackjack, roulette, craps, poker, baccarat, hot online slots like Cash Eruption, or the hot online slots based on some of your favorite streaming shows like The Walking Dead, Squid Games, Peaky Blinders, and so much more. New users right now get $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down in the first 24 hours. Head on over to betparx.com. Download the app right now and enjoy all the action and excitement from the casino at your fingertips. You must be 21 and in PA, New Jersey, Maryland, or Michigan. For BetParx, you love to play, you play to win. You BetParx. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, and while we're here, let me tell you about our friends over at TrueMark Financial Credit Union, because if you are trying to get some work done, you're thinking about doing some new work on your house, or if you're a parent and you're thinking about the holidays coming around, it's the perfect time to teach your kids about money and financial literacy. That's where the Greenlight app comes in. It's an all-in-one money app and a debit card made just for families. It helps your kids learn how to spend, but do it wisely. They save for what matters, and they build smart money habits, all while you're able to control the shots. And here's the best part. TrueMark Financial Credit Union members get a free custom card with their free Greenlight subscription, a $79.99 value for free. If you're not a member yet, no problem. You can open an account online or at any of TrueMark's 24 branch locations and score their exclusive offer. So make this holiday season a win. Head on over to TrueMark.com/Greenlight for all the details and get started today. TrueMark Financial Credit Union, federally insured by the NCUA. Big thanks to Pat Egan for joining today's show. We got a lot to get into that we didn't get a chance to do. We'll save it for Monday. I think Monday is going to be Cristopher Sánchez Appreciation Day. We've done it before in season, but I think it's going to be Cristopher Sánchez Appreciation Day on Monday. We'll also talk about Ranger Suarez, who we did not get a chance to get into as well. But we ran out of time. We were having fun with our buddy Pat Egan, who was gracious enough to join us for the second half of the program. Big thanks to everybody in the chat. We really appreciate you being a part of today's show. Thanks for participating in our trivia game as well. We love you. We can't thank you enough for being a part of the show. Thank you to Lindsay for producing today as well. Check out the PHLY Eagles show at 2. Lindsay is part of that as well. Coming up next at 1:30, it will be Philadelphia. We'll take you through the 2 o'clock hour. The PHLY Eagles show will be live at 2 o'clock. And then the Sixers pre and post, Flyers pre and post tonight. We got a joint night of Philadelphia sports ahead. So big thanks to everybody hanging out with us today. We will be back on Monday afternoon at noon for the next edition of the PHLY Phillies podcast. Have an excellent weekend. Enjoy the college and pro football slate. And we'll be back on Monday to talk more Phillies baseball and hopefully some free agent news over the weekend. We'll do it on Monday at noon right here on the PHLY Phillies podcast. Talk to them. See you.
We all silly like the mayor.